When it comes to councils building cycling infrastructure, I think we need to talk about capacity and capability. But first, a small diversion. Back in May 2021, I did a video on the drawn-out saga that was the construction of the Broughton Street Cycleway in Concord. The cycleway was first proposed in November 2016 and finally got to the point where it was rideable in November 2020. The mayors of Burwood and Canada Bay turned up for a photo shoot in April 2021 to finally officially open it. With that in mind, what do you think of the statement in the latest Canada Bay Council progress report that says the construction of the route is occurring progressively throughout 2021 to 2022? The entire route is scheduled to be completed by December 2022. If we go back to the progress report for July to December 2020, we find that Council was predicting that construction of the route is anticipated to commence in April 2021. The report prior to that one, covering January to June 2020, said consultation on this route is occurring in early 2020 to 2021, with construction intended to commence towards the end of that period. I take it from that they meant construction was supposed to have started in early 2021. If we go back one more progress report to July-December 2019, we find that the regional east-west cycle route preliminary design has been completed and is undergoing a feasibility review. It is planned to take to council and community consultation undertaken before the end of the next reporting period. Now let's go back to our timeline for Broughton Street. The tender for works was awarded on the 16th of June 2020 and work started sometime in September 2020, about 3 months later. Now, I don't have access to the tender website, so I don't know when that tender was initially advertised and how long it took to assess the tenders and then pick a winner. I don't know what the tender process is like within Canada Bay Council, but I put quite a bit of work out to tender when I was at the railways, and it was shocking how time-consuming and laborious it was back then. The paperwork was unbelievable for even the most simple and straightforward tenders. The bureaucracy was also out of this world. First, we had to wait months for our budget to be approved, which often wasted the first 3 or 4 months of the financial year. Then we had to write a submission to get the finance department to generate a capital works number. And depending on the cost of the project, that could require a series of signatures all the way up to the chief executive. And I mean signatures on bits of paper, and those bits of paper had to be blue because submissions all had to be a particular colour. Although that colour changed from time to time, requiring all submissions and progress to be reprinted on paper of the appropriate colour, and the signing process started all over again. Now, once you had your capital works number, you then had to repeat the submission process to request to go to tender. You also needed to write up a tender specification, along with another document detailing how you were going to score the tenders. Once that was approved, you'd walk all the paperwork over to the tender team and wait a few weeks for them to process it and advertise the tender. Maybe a month after that, you'd get a stack of tenders back and you'd form a tender review board and score them. Once that was done, it was time to write yet another submission to award the tender. And once that had gained the requisite stack of signatures, you could issue a letter to the winner and arrange for them to start work. Remember that all of this had to be done on paper, and all the people involved worked in different buildings in the CBD. You could choose to rely on the internal mail system to move your paperwork from person to person without getting lost or held up, or you could walk it around yourself. I wore out a lot of shoe leather walking submissions around town because you could guarantee that the internal mail system would lose the paperwork at least once for every project, and you'd have to start all over again. I spent hours sitting outside offices waiting for managers to become available for a minute so they could sign some paperwork. So I really sympathise with the council staff who have to grind through this process in order to get our cycleways built. I really do. It's usually a complete horror story, and I'm sure the process has gotten even worse over the years as more requirements for due diligence and stuff have been added in. But that begs the question, if work is really going to be completed by December 22, and I assume that means all 6 segments when they say that, then you'd hope that some or all of the work would have gone to tender by now. After all, work was originally supposed to have started at the beginning of this year. That's 2021. Granted, some work has been done along Henry Street and Barnstaple Road, but this is a very small fraction of the entire project. I've had a good look through the tender section of the council website and other tender sites, and I can't find any mention of this work listed anywhere, unless it's been rolled up into something else. It's also worth noting that on the 1st of December 2020, Council voted to not proceed with Segment 6 and to undertake further investigation and community consultation. That consultation was supposed to be undertaken in late 2021. Well, it's now very late in 2021, and I'd be interested if anyone knows whether that consultation actually took place or not. If it did, then you'd think this segment would have gone back to Council for approval by now. And this is where we come back to my initial point about councils having the capability and capacity to build effective and safe cycling infrastructure. Being capable means having power and ability. Having capacity means the actual or potential ability to perform. First, we need to accept that most councils don't have the in-house expertise to design cycling infrastructure to a high standard. Building stuff for cyclists is different to building paths for pedestrians or roads for vehicles. Cycling infrastructure has its own quirks and peculiarities, and you can't just expect that someone who has designed footpaths for years can also jump into designing cycle paths. They're very different animals. Most councils don't have this expertise in-house because they don't have a big enough pipeline of work to justify it. Councils can justify employing subject matter experts to deal with road maintenance and construction because they spend millions of dollars every year on this sort of work, and there is zero chance of ever having a year when the road's budget is zero. Bicycle projects, on the other hand, are either feast or famine, so there's no point in creating a position for a bicycle infrastructure manager when that person might have no budget to work with 4 years out of 5. The only exception really is the City of Sydney, which is really committed to active transport and provides enough budget year on year to make a difference. In other words, most councils like Canada Bay have no capability in this area. This is something that Transport for New South Wales really needs to think about before embarking on another round of bicycle infrastructure spending. There's no point in pouring money into councils if they don't know what to do with it. The problem is that councils are always happy to take the money from the state government, even if they have no clue how to use it wisely. At the very least, it provides them with the opportunity to make an announcement and issue a press release with the mayor. Councils love to make it look like they're doing something, even when they're not. Now, given enough time, staff can develop the capability to do this sort of work effectively. It's not rocket engineering, but like any new skill, it takes time to develop it. Formal training may be required, and you need to work on a number of projects to gain experience. I hope councils are investing in their staff to build this sort of capability, but I suspect they haven't even thought about it. The second issue is capacity, and again, I think a lot of councils fall short here because they are being asked to do so much with limited resources. The Mayor was very pleased earlier this year when he announced a record capital works budget, which is great, except did anyone think about what resources were going to be required to deliver all that work? For example, you've got record spending of $18 million on roads and footpaths, plus $3.4 million for cycleways, and that will obviously involve a lot more work than in previous years. Going back to the earlier point about capability, how are staff supposed to build capability when they have no spare capacity to learn a new skill set? There's just not enough hours in the day. If Transport for New South Wales don't want to think about this, then maybe Rob Stokes, who was recently sworn in as the Minister for Infrastructure, Cities and Active Transports, needs to think about it. Developing the right capabilities and capacity is a fundamental policy issue. Without these, infrastructure doesn't get built, it doesn't get built properly, or a great deal of money is wasted on faffing around and not getting anything done. And we don't know yet what sort of departmental support Rob Stokes is going to have and how much he'll have in his budget. So far, all he's got is a contact page for ministerial correspondence. Once he gets some sort of department up and running, they need to think about whether they should run these regional cycleway projects instead of councils, because a department is sure to have more resources to recruit some full-time staff and build the required capacity and capability, something they can focus on. The alternative is to continue throwing money at councils and hope for the best. Well, here in Canada Bay, we've been hoping for the best for some years, and all we've gotten so far is a couple of lousy speed cushions. Maybe a halfway house is for the department to take control of the building of all the strategic regional cycleways and leave councils to just building the local feeder links, just like the state government builds freeways and other major roads, and the councils deal with the local road network. So there's some food for thought. The next topic that I want to cover is project management and governance of these cycleway projects. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely riveting stuff.